Okay, I will attempt to keep this short because I tend to ramble. This is the big one, the big season preview video for the 2024 Minnesota Vikings football season. A lot of changes this season. Um, it's a new era. It's not the beginning of one era. It's not the beginning of the JJ McCarthy era yet, but we saw the end of the Kirk Cousins era, the end of the Daniil Hunter era, uh, the end of the Oli Udo era, which is just, I mean we're still getting over that one. So be kind of like season preview slash week one preview because we got the Giants coming up in New York, well, New Jersey, in a couple days. I've alluded to this in previous videos and other outlets, but yeah, this is the least hyped I've been for a Viking season in many years because, not to spoil the ending, I don't think we're going to the playoffs this year. I just don't see it. Um, Very few people see it. I think most people think we're going to be last place, um, and they might be right. I've seen some of the a lot of the predictions and the power rankings, and we're way down there. And I'm not even mad because I'm just like, yeah, that's probably pretty accurate and it's fair. Um, Obviously, you know, everyone got buzz killed in a big way by the JJ McCarthy injury. I don't think that specifically is going to have that big of an impact on this season. Although I think it's, obviously that's going to depend on Sam Darnold and his play. But if he falters at all, you can bet JJ McCarthy was going to be in there. But now it would be Nick Mullins and or possibly Brett Rippon. But so we're really pinning our hopes to Sam Darnold and pinning our hopes to KOC really being able to tap into whatever talent this guy's got. And he was the third pick of the draft. Um, in what 18, I think. Like, and he flopped in New York. He went to Carolina, flopped there, and then was a backup in San Francisco and looked okay. Probably got better coaching in San Francisco. Probably will get better coaching here than he got in his first two stops. But sometimes these guys are just not. They're not good. They're badly evaluated coming out of the draft or coming out of college, and they're just not good. And there have been guys who have been highly touted or highly drafted, at least rookies, and then gone to like a second team or even a third team and succeeded. Baker Mayfield is the name that keeps getting brought up. Is well, maybe Darnold can do what Baker Mayfield did. Difference is Baker Mayfield was at least a good couple notches better. He got into the playoffs with Cleveland, won a playoff game. So, um, but obviously I haven't followed Sam Darnold's career because I just wasn't interested. But you know, people are laughing that we got Sam Darnold as our starting quarterback. We're really going into season with him. Like you could almost make a case that we have maybe the worst starting quarterback in the NFL. That's if KOC can't tap into it. I trust KOC to be able to, if there's talent there, if there's anything there, that he's going to get it out of him. We didn't see much in the preseason. I think he literally only had one drive in the whole preseason, and it was a good drive. But um, I don't know. Like, is he going to be a turnover machine? Is he gonna be able to take advantage of all the weapons that we've got? Because we do have weapons. Now T.J. Hawkinson is not going to be playing until at least sometime in October. Thanks a lot, Kirby Joseph, you dirty son of a bitch. So we're not going to have that. We have decent backup tight ends, though, so maybe we can work something out there. Obviously, Justin Jefferson, best receiver in the league. I don't think he's going to be one of these guys who gets paid and then starts to just loaf. I just don't think that at all. Jordan Addison, other than maybe having to deal with a suspension at some point, haven't heard anything recently about that. There's no injury thing for him coming into this game, so he should this first game, so he should be healthy and ready to play. So we'll see what happens there. We've got obviously intriguing depth at wide receiver, but unproven. We haven't seen Aaron Jones at all yet, other than camp practices. Um, I think that it's a very much a focus for the team. They want to be a much better running team this year. I think they will be. I think they have to be. I think if we've got any chance of being competitive and maybe competing for maybe a playoff spot, we have to be a better running team. There can't be. Obviously last year we were pinning our hopes on Alexander Madison, who was just a failure. Um, Aaron Jones is here. He's motivated. Got a lot of wear and tear, but I think I think he can be a real like major weapon that we haven't had at that position since like when Dalvin was still here and still at his peak. Um, Offensive line, the tackles solid. Interior of the line is always going to be a question. We'll see now if we have a little more mobility at quarterback. Darnold's not like he's not like Lamar Jackson, but he can run around a little bit. Maybe that can help a little bit. Um, you know, the pieces are there for a quarterback to come in here and play very well. Now we didn't. Now Mullins put up a lot of stats last year when he got out there. He was just a turnover machine. If we can get like stats without the turnovers from Darnold, okay, maybe we might have a shot. But we don't know yet. It's such an unknown with Darnold, and the pessimism is understandable. And I'm pessimistic myself. I just I think he can be better than what Mullins was late last year. But I wouldn't look for it to be like. I don't think this is good. I don't think this is going to be like 2017 Case Keenum or even like 2016 Bradford or some of these other guys who we've had in over the years and have like stepped it up. I just don't see it. I hope I'm wrong. I hope this is like a magical career resurrecting season for Sam Darnold, and I hope we're put in a position after the season where it's like, well, what do we do with Darnold? Maybe we keep him. Maybe we sign him. Maybe if he has a fantastic season and looks like a star quarterback, that's going to really cause some decisions to have to be made because then you've still got the rookie who's unknown. But again, I think that's a pipe dream. I really do. We got year 2 of Brian Flores' defense. A lot of turnover on that side of the ball. Daniel Hunter gone. Jordan Hicks gone. DJ Wanham gone. A lot of the secondary gone. Lewisine gone. Not that he played, but Booth is gone. Mekhi Blackman's out for the season. We brought in Stephon Gilmore. We brought in Fabian Monroe. We've got a whole new bunch of guys out in the secondary. We got a whole new bunch of guys who are going to be rushing the passer. We got Dallas Turner, who everything I've seen or heard sounds like he was going to be an absolute stud, and we need him to be. We need him to be one of those like instant major impact rookie pass rushers. Because boy, we need to pressure that damn quarterback because. I just don't know what we're going to get out of the secondary. But if you have a good pass rush, that helps the secondary. And hopefully just, it being year 2 for Flores, he's got a little more of his guys in there. I trust him. So hopefully he can make that defense formidable because if that defense, they were pretty good for about 2/3 of the season last year. And then it just kind of fell apart due to just maybe you got to figure it out, just some of it was smoke and mirrors, maybe. But if we can get like another comfortable step up for that defense, then you don't have to score like 30 points a game to win. Maybe we can, be a little bit of an old school type of thing, playing stout defense and running the football. It maybe wouldn't be the aesthetically pleasing brand of football, but you know what? It might be our best hope. And it could be rough. Like if we can't get this, if we can't start out playing well these first couple months, it's going to get late quickly because the early schedule is pretty damn tough. Like it's not unmanageable, but I mean, obviously we got the Giants this week. That's actually one of our easiest games on the whole schedule. But then you got a lot of games against playoff teams, and you got obviously a game in London against the Jets. You got, obviously, like you got 6 games in the division, and a case could be made that all 6 of those games you will be the inferior team. Um, you know, I mean, you know, I don't think the Vikings this year are on the level of the Packers or the Lions. I think the Vikings and Bears will be pretty even, but I think certainly there's a lot. I think there's a lot more optimism right now about the Bears. So I mean, the division. You don't even have like, and you can't even call the Bears games cakewalks anyway. We blew one of them last year, and so it's never that easy. But hopefully we can you know put up a good showing in the division games. But then there's a lot of other tough games. But if you get past about, I think, like the beginning of November, the schedule does get a little easier. So I was looking at it, I was like, boy, if we can be like 3-4, which isn't like, oh my god, we're 3-4. But if you could be like 3-4, going into November, because then you get like Arizona, and you get, I think, Tennessee, and you get the Colts, and you get a few easier games. Like maybe you can make something of the season. Like I think the ceiling for this team is probably just a wild card, but to do that you've got to hold serve a little bit in these early weeks. Like we got the Giants this week. I think they're gonna win, but you know it's not going to be easy, and none of them are going to be easy. I don't think we're going to be good enough to have anything be easy. And even when we have had good teams, they're not easy against the Vikings, so it's never easy. But then you got back-to-back home games against the 49ers and the Texans. Two of the 10 best teams at least in the NFL probably. Hopefully you can win one of those, and then you go to Green Bay. It's like, boy, if you slip up with this Giants game, 0-4 is not out of the realm of possibility. And then you got obviously Jets, and then you got the Lions, I think, come in here after that. I don't have the schedule in front of me, but it's the schedule after October is not too bad. Like if you're playing well, like if this team is exceeding expectations, if Darnold's playing solid, if we're getting good defense, we're running the ball, yeah, you can make something of this season if you're not buried by election day. But yeah, I mean, it's a weird position for me. I drink the purple Kool-Aid. I'm a homer. I admit it. I haven't picked the Vikings to not make the playoffs since at least 2016. That was right after the Teddy injury. I was probably despondent. I might not have picked them to make the playoffs that year. It might even been a few years before that. Like it's just not something I do. And obviously I've been wrong about half the time, but it's not common for me to go into a Viking season thinking that they aren't making the playoffs, but I don't think they're making the playoffs. I just think there's just the vibes of everything that's happened so far with the McCarthy injury, the Blackman injury, Kyrie Jackson dying in a fucking car accident, Addison getting busted for, driving drunk and probably getting suspended. You're still not going to have Hawkinson, like, I think certainly there's more than enough talent here to keep this from being like a bottom tier team. Like I don't like people like, oh, we're gonna end up with the number 1 draft pick. If this team is bad enough to end up with the number 1 draft pick, I couldn't even express how shocking that would be. I just don't see it bottoming out like that. I see us in a 7-10 type of season. We were 7-10 last year. Weird way to get there with how things went. I hope we don't have the just mind-numbing roller coaster that we had last year, where it was like we're terrible early, then we're making a run. Oh, then we have Dobbs mania, and then it's just plummeting into just despair. I hope it's nothing like that. I hope it's just a normal kind of season. But then again, it's the Vikings. When is it ever normal? Obviously, we can't afford too many more injuries. We've already had a couple of serious ones. We had guys banged up throughout camp. But there's nobody on the injured list or on the injury report coming into this week 1 game. So enjoy it because it's going to be the last time. Someone will probably die on the field in the first game of this week. It doesn't feel, it just the vibes. It just does not feel like a season that's anything but kind of cursed before it begins. It's just, it sucks. I mean, but on the other hand, if they do have success, if they do have a good season, it's going to feel all that much better. Especially after last season, which was one of the most miserable fucking stretches of Vikings fandom I can ever recall. Maybe they can get in it. Maybe they can get into the mix for the playoffs. I mean, I trust I trust KOC to get whatever he can get out of Sam Darnold. Obviously, if he falters, we're going to have Mullins. I don't want to see him. I mean, like if we could have turnover-free Nick Mullins, that would be okay. But I just don't see it. Flores, I think, can make this defense competitive. But I don't know. I think their path to success this year is going to be the old school, play good defense and run the football and control the clock, that kind of thing. And I don't know how much that works anymore because it just doesn't work. Like even the Zimmer teams didn't really do that. They didn't really control the clock like that. It just was. It's hard. It's hard to play that kind of football now and succeed. And I don't know if we can do that. I think there's talent. I think if you get good quarterback play, there's enough talent here elsewhere that you can compete for a wild card. Like you can play relevant football deep into December, which is I think what we can kind of hope for. I mean, I'm assuming that we've got the tank Nazi fans out there who want to tank the season again so we can get another high draft pick. I'm obviously never going to be that way, but this is weird for me. I don't like going into a Viking season thinking we're not going to make the playoffs. It's like it's one of my passions, and it's like to go into like a 4-month stretch not having hope. Like we're summer's ending, we're going into fall, we're probably going to have blizzards and shit. Like I don't want to deal with that and also not have a good football team. But I don't see it. I'll seg a little bit into just my overall NFL predictions. Like, I don't think the Vikings are going to be in the playoffs. I'm very creative with my overall NFL picks this year. I think I only picked like 3 new playoff teams in the entire league, which is not going to be right because there's always a lot more turnover than that. I think the only team I got flipped in the NFC is I got Atlanta in the South. Yes, I'm riding with Kirk Cousins to win the NFC South, and I got the Falcons going to the NFC Championship game too. Because what's going to stick in our craw more than having Kirk Cousins go further in the playoffs his first year with Atlanta than he ever went here? That's going to happen. That's a very strong possibility. But I will be rooting for them 16 out of 17 weeks. I will not root for them when we play them, but I do hope that works out for Kirk and the Falcons. But everybody else, I've got the same playoff teams in the NFC. I do think Green Bay is going to win the North this year. They're playing tonight. They're playing the Eagles tonight. Hopefully the Eagles will beat them. I'm rooting for the Eagles already, for God's sakes. Obviously I hope that Packers and Lions both crash and burn because I fucking hate both of them. The Lions are being picked to go to the Super Bowl again. Did you learn nothing? They might actually be a better team this year. This might be one of those classics. They're a little better team, but they have a worse record. I might not call them frauds all year. That pissed off some people last year. I always got the annoyed comments like, you calling them the frauds. Well, they were frauds last year, and they proved it in the NFC Championship game. I certainly don't pick them. Certainly don't have them going to the Super Bowl. But I do still have them in the playoffs. They got a lot of talent, and maybe they'll actually win more games this year based on their own accomplishments instead of just blind luck and mistakes by the other team, which is what they were last year when they were frauds. Over in the AFC, again, I've got it basically the same. I think the only difference is I got the Colts. Colts are like my one sort of surprise. I got them winning the South. Anthony Richardson full year. Maybe he'll do some. And then I got the Bengals getting back in there with healthy Joe Burrow. So I think I got the Steelers and the Browns out from last year. So again, not being very creative. I do have the Dolphins winning the East. Just just to be different. But I'm very uncreative, and I'm uncreative with my Super Bowl pick too. Chiefs over the 49ers. I mean, the only reason not to pick the Chiefs would be that no team has ever three-peated, but I've been saying it since last year's playoffs. Like, there's never been a team better suited, I think, to three-peat than them, because they had like kind of a down year and they still rolled to another Super Bowl. They beat like three of the best teams in football on their way to the Super Bowl, a couple of them on the road. Like, and now they got this new receiver, Worthy. Holy shit, he's fast. So I think it's them, and I think it's the 49ers, because I still think they have the best overall team. They're super motivated because they've come up short a couple times now, but I don't think you can beat the Chiefs right now. And you know what? No team has ever done it in the Super Bowl era. That's the only reason not to pick the Chiefs, in my opinion. Just history. But I think they will do it. I got three of the four same finalists last year. I got KC, Baltimore in the AFC Championship game, and I got the 49ers beating the Falcons in the NFC Championship game. I despise people who pick chalk and pick Super Bowl rematches. I'm always like, every year when I see them, like, oh, that is so lazy. Well, I'm the lazy one this year, because I just don't see it. I don't see a lot of these other teams, these up and coming teams, being ready yet. I don't see the Packers already being there. Certainly don't see the Lions. Dallas always comes up short. The Eagles seem to be kind of on a downward thing. You know, I see this a lot of just bleh in the NFC. Like, I don't see that next group of teams that can take over for the 49ers yet. But and in the AFC, it's like, until I see it, and the Chiefs haven't won every Super Bowl, but I mean, like, until I really see it, I mean, they're like one bad half against the Bengals a couple years ago, and D Ford lining up offsides from maybe having 5 consecutive Super Bowl titles. I mean, they're just ridiculous. I mean, they're just you got to be lucky to beat them, and I don't think anyone's going to beat them. So that's my overall season pick, which will probably be wrong. Back to the Vikings, though. 7-10 is my prediction. I think it's going to be rough early. I think we'll get some wins later, but I think it's going to be a little too late to mount any sort of a playoff push. But if you can steal a couple of those early season games against teams that you're going to be underdogs against, I mean, they're actually favored against the Giants, but they're going to be underdogs against the Niners, against Texans, against Green Bay, against Detroit, probably against the Jets. They're going to be underdogs in all these games. But if you can pull off a couple upsets in there and hopefully win this week 1 game, again, I think if you can get to about 3 and 4, after that the schedule gets a little easier, and maybe you can make something of the season. But it's so much of it is going to depend on what we can tap into with Sam Darnold. If there's anything there, and he has won some, he has had some good games in the NFL. So he has performed well at times, and he's never been in this good of a position. That's why people were saying, no, this is such a great position for a rookie quarterback to come into, because look at all the talent and the coaching. It's all up to Sam Darnold. We're pinning our hopes for a competitive season on Sam Darnold, which, I mean, it's just a 1 year. I think ideally, JJ McCarthy is the healthy starting quarterback week 1 of 2025. And ideally Darnold has a solid season and he can go on and kind of restart his career elsewhere while we move on with our guy. We've seen it. We've seen quarterbacks pop up with this franchise, sometimes just for a season, sometimes just for part of a season. Can Sam Darnold do it? That's going to be the determining factor, whether or not the Vikings can have a competitive season and maybe get into the playoffs. I mean, if he has that kind of season, we should have a running game and a defense that could do something. But again, I'm in the unusual position of being a pessimist, a Vikings pessimist entering the season. So that's about it. So yeah, 7-10 is my prediction. I don't think we're going to finish last. I think we will finish ahead of the Bears. But I think we will finish at least a couple games behind Detroit and Green Bay. And, then hopefully those two teams flame out miserably in the playoffs, and we can laugh at them and enjoy the schadenfreude that we always do. So, but for week one, I do think the Vikings are going to win. I don't know if I'm going to do like week preview videos every week this year. I kind of got bored with those last year. I might do them. Might depend on how the season goes. I might not want to talk about the Vikings very much. I think we'll win a squeaker this week. I think we'll, like a 23-20 type of thing. I think we can. I think hopefully we can beat the Giants. We need some revenge for that fucking playoff game 2 years ago that, broke my fucking spirit. So yeah, I think we're gonna win week one, and then we'll see if we can build on that in the coming weeks. But 7-10 is my prediction for the season, and I hope that I am in the unusual position of underestimating my team.